The trail of whispers and half-remembered rumors led Dr. John Finn Finnegan to a nondescript warehouse on the outskirts of Los Angeles. A hulking concrete structure surrounded by chain-link fencing and high-pressure water hoses whose residue still lingered on the pavement like a bloodstain. Inside, beneath flickering fluorescent tubes and the hum of a single industrial fan, Finn discovered a secret surgery center that bore no name on its battered steel door. Only the faint imprint of a once white label stripped away, leaving ghostly outlines of letters that hinted at the truth it so desperately wanted to conceal. He had come seeking proof that something about Liam Spencer's miraculous recovery did not add up, that Grace Buckingham's triumphant announcement of a 100% tumor removal hid a darker reality. As he stepped into the dimly lit corridor, the smell of antiseptic clashed with the metallic tang of old machinery, and Finn's heart hammered against his ribs, each beat echoing the foreboding sense that he was far from the sanitized halls of the hospital and deep inside a labyrinth where science had run amok. Along one wall, a bank of filing cabinets, jammed shut with rusted locks, bore labels like case files and patient histories, but the drawers resisted his attempts to open them until a single key stamped with the logo of a defunct biotech startup turned in the lock and released a dry groan that sounded like a gasp of confession. Inside, Finn's eyes widened as he saw Liam's name on a folder dated weeks before the official surgery, subfolders marked pre-op neurology, pharmacological protocols, and neural interface, terminology that no reputable neurosurgeon would ever admit to using. He rifled through digital records on a battered laptop mounted to a nearby rolling cart, data packets encrypted, but still legible to his practiced eye. Encrypted file names like Liam _experiment alpha and BCG _trial 24HR suggested a clandestine trial of a neurochemical agent, a compound designed not merely to excise a tumor, but to rewrite neural pathways in the brain, potentially altering personality, memory, even fundamental aspects of identity. Every line of code, every redacted figure in the spreadsheet bore the mark of deliberate manipulation, surgical logs that claimed complete tumor resection at 3:14 p.m. When the digital timestamp on the CT scans placed the room empty, nurse rosters with blank entries for the night shift, procurement orders for experimental neuroagents never approved by the FDA. Finn's pulse raced as he realized the implication. Liam's second chance at life had less to do with a benign benigectomy and more to do with a radical neurological experiment that could transform him into something unrecognizably different, obedient, malleable, perhaps even clinically docile. An ideal test subject for future applications in mind control, memory erasure, or unwitting compliance. Horror coiled in Finn's gut as he imagined Liam, standing in the bright sunshine of Bel Air, smiling at his children and patting them on the head, all the while his mind a foreign landscape shaped by Grace's secret intervention. With deliberate calm, Finn snapped photos of the altered files, burned them onto an encrypted thumb drive, and tucked it safely into his lab coat pocket, aware that every second he remained in this facility increased the risk that he would be discovered and silenced. As he turned to leave, a door at the far end of the corridor opened, and Finn caught a glimpse of a figure in scrubs, expression unreadable in the half-light. The sickening realization struck him that the rogue surgeons, the lab technicians, and the anonymous financiers who backed this project were already on alert. He slipped out into the night, the warehouse's broken neon sign flickering above him like a warning beacon. In the distance, the Los Angeles skyline pulsed with life, ignorant of the atrocity hidden in its shadows, and Finn vowed that he would expose the truth about Liam's surgery before any further harm could be done. Even if it meant taking on Grace Buckingham, Bill Spencer, and every powerful ally who had a stake in keeping this secret buried. For he understood now that the greatest threat to Liam's future was not the cancer that had nearly killed him, but the neural experiment that threatened to steal his very self, and Finn would stop at nothing to save his brother-in-law from becoming a different man, under the guise of a medical miracle. A spark ignites in Brooke Logan's heart the moment the envelope arrives, black, sleek, embossed with a silver monogram that belongs to no bank or boardroom she's ever known, and inside, an invitation from a mysterious investor whose interest in her creative vision and personal resilience burns hotter than the California sun. This stranger, whom she has never met but whose reputation whispers through the corridors of international fashion as a savior of fallen icons and a curator of phoenix-like rebirths, promises Brooke freedom from the cycles of heartbreak that have defined her life at Forrester Creations. He offers her a blank canvas on which to redraw her identity, a boutique label bearing her name, unfettered by family loyalties, brand politics, or the memory of stolen kisses and shattered vows. As she traces the silver script with trembling fingers, Brooke Logan, creative director, founder, visionary, her pulse quickens. The words taste of possibility, a promise that she might escape the gravitational pull of the Forrester legacy and stride into a future unshaped by Ridge's expectations or Taylor's tragedies. Already, she imagines unveiling her first independent collection beneath the Eiffel Tower, her name glittering on glossy invites, her designs celebrated for their daring reinvention rather than their place in a dynasty. The thought of redefining herself beyond the battlefield of love triangles and corporate intrigue fills her with an intoxicating mixture of hope and terror. Yet the walls of Brooke's sprawling Bel Air home, lined with photographs of bygone weddings and framed sketches destined for the Forrester runway, bear witness to a history she cannot simply abandon. Ridge Forrester, ever her anchor and her storm, remains the gravity around which her emotions orbit. His voice, rich with unspoken promises, echoes through her mind whenever she allows herself to dream of independence. "Brooke, I need you by my side," he'd whispered just this morning as they walked through the gardens of the Forrester estate, Ridge brushing a loose strand of hair from her face with the same reverence he'd shown at their first dance years ago. And she knows in her bones that to step away, to seize this investor's offer, would be to leave Ridge for Taylor once and for all, sealing the breach that has teetered between them since the day Taylor returned with secrets of her own. Taylor, whose faltering heart once betrayed her but whose vulnerability now commands Brooke's sympathy and Ridge's undying devotion, stands between Brooke and the life she longs to claim. Shrinking into the shadows of Ridge's grief would mean ceding him to the woman who gave him his children's mother, whose very breath has become an unspoken excuse for Brooke's own fractures. The investor's promise of reinvention gleams like a beacon, yet beyond its light lies a chasm. A life redefined in freedom, or a life shattered by the absence of the man she still loves. The question claws at her, does she have the courage to leap, even as her heart screams to hold tight to the man who has loved her in so many lifetimes? Even beyond her heartache, the collateral damage of departure looms like a gathering storm. Brooke Logan's name is more than a signature beneath sketches. It is the linchpin of a vast legacy built by her family's triumphs and trials. The Logan Empire. Homes in Malibu and Aspen, a publishing house that has championed her voice, the Logan cottage on the coast where her daughters learn to swim, stands as a testament to her mother's grit and her own indomitable spirit. If Brooke severs her ties with Ridge and the Forrester name, she risks losing her stake in Logan Publishing, her share in the family vineyards, and the roof over the very cottage where she first fell in love with Ridge's younger brother, Thorne. The investor, for all his magnetic allure, cannot promise to safeguard decades of familial wealth or the ancestral artifacts that blanket her private study. No matter how enticing the prospect of a fresh start under foreign skies, a silent hand tugs at her, reminding her that her bloodline, her inheritance, and the life she has woven with her sisters and her children are woven into her bones. This means that to pursue independence is not merely to walk away from Ridge, but to forfeit the tangible proof of her lineage, the comfort of a home that remembers every triumph and every tear. The thought tightens her chest. Could she bear to let those memories slip through her fingers, replaced by rented studio lofts and hotel suites, while the Logan name fades on her jewelry box and her children's nursery walls? The investor's offer trembles in her purse like a living thing, insistent and patient, waiting for her to decide. Around her, the world continues its tumultuous spin. The Forrester board debates the next season's collection. Ridge navigates the fragile peacemaking between Taylor and Steffi, and her daughters whisper in the morning light about the new cousin they'll visit soon. Brooke's days are an intricate choreography of boardroom negotiations and bedtime stories, conference calls and quiet confessions, each step a reminder that her identity is bound to far more than her career. The investor promises to strip away this web of obligations. No late-night strategy meetings, no sideways glances from Taylor, no obligations to protect the Forrester name. He hints at a partner who admires her resilience, one who believes her capacity to reinvent herself after every heartbreak is the very essence of her power. He offers a life in which Brooke Logan is defined solely by her vision, her creations, and her capacity to charm the world with her tenacity. But the cost, a farewell to Ridge, a relinquishing of the Logan inheritance, is steep. Brooke imagines herself in that alternate life. Free of scandal, free of boardroom betrayals, free of love's entanglements. Yet she also sees stark images of her daughters' faces, the picture of her mother's disappointed eyes, and finds herself anchored by obligations she cannot simply discard. And beneath it all, Ridge's ring glints in the bedside lamp's glow, a tether to the life she cannot bring herself to break. In the quiet hours before dawn, Brooke rises and paces the marble floors of her living room, the investor's letter spread before her like a map to uncharted territories. Each step forward feels like a betrayal of her history, each hesitation a betrayal of her future. She weighs Ridge's gentle pleas against the investor's seductive promises, her responsibility to her blood family against her yearning for self-reinvention. The intersection of these forces crackles with electric tension. To embrace independence is to embrace loss. To reclaim her own narrative is to relinquish the only home she's ever truly known. Brooke stands at the edge of a precipice, the skyline of Los Angeles shimmering with possibilities and with regrets, and she knows that once she makes her choice, the life she's lived and the woman she's been will be irrevocably altered. The investor's heat still pulses through her veins, beckoning with its promise of escape and reinvention, but the question remains. Can Brooke Logan truly walk away from Ridge and the Logan legacy, or is her identity so entwined with all she would lose that independence itself would become the greatest tragedy of all? In the hush of that pre-dawn stillness, Brooke closes her eyes and listens for the answer, aware that when the sun rises, her world will never be the same.